On Monday, April 15th, 2019, I, along with the rest of the world, was glued to a screen as we watched the brave firefighters of Paris battle tirelessly to save one of the world's most iconic buildings. The Cathedral of Notre Dame is the pinnacle of Gothic architecture, and personally, one of my favorite buildings in the world. Notre Dame has survived the test of time, revolutions, desecration, 2 world wars, and earlier this week, after 8.5 centuries, we almost lost it. Today, as a special Dig It with Raven field trip episode, we're going to visit the Notre Dame Cathedral as it was before the fire, discuss the building's fascinating history, the fire itself, and what we can hope for the future. Notre Dame is more than a symbol of medieval history. Its foundations rest upon the most ancient inhabited site of Paris, the town of Lutetia, which dates back to the 1st century BCE. With 13 million visitors a year, it is the most visited monument in Europe. Construction began in 1163 under Bishop Maurice de Sully on the site of the 4th century Basilica of St. Stephen. This ambitious project would take almost 200 years to complete. Notre Dame de Paris, as it is known, was to be the largest religious building in Western Europe until the middle of the 13th century. Its use of the ribbed vault, flying buttresses, colorful rose windows, and immense sculptural decoration set it apart from the earlier Romanesque style. By 1831, the cathedral was in disrepair and needed urgent work to save it. Luckily, it had a big fan in author Victor Hugo, who wrote Notre Dame de Paris, better known in English as The Hunchback of Notre Dame. As a result from the publication of Hugo's book, a large-scale restoration project took place from 1844 and 1864, led by Emmanuel Viollet-le-Duc. He is responsible for the addition of the cathedral spire and the ever-so-famous chimeras and gargoyles on the parapets. Today, its beauty stands as a symbol for Paris, and it is beloved the world over. In the early hours of the evening of April 15th, word began to spread on social media and news outlets. Notre Dame was on fire. It is not yet known how the fire started, but it seems related to the restoration works that were taking place at the time. The first fire alarm was reported at 6:20 p.m. Before long, the fire had spread across the entire roof, engulfing the over 13,000 trees worth of wood and melting the lead tiles on top. Soon after, the spire was burning as well. And then, in a moment replayed over and over again on the news, the spire, weighing 720 tons, crashed through the roof to the church floor below. As the fire raged on, there was a fear that the stone structure would succumb and collapse as the spire did. Limestone calcifies at around 600 degrees Celsius, roughly the same temperature that wood burns at. This can potentially cause severe structural damage to stone. As night fell, sparks were seen inside the northern tower, and we wondered if anything would survive. Thanks to the tireless work of the brave firefighters, by 1 a.m. it was announced that the fire was mostly under control and the structure was safe. As day broke, Notre Dame still stood. Drone footage shows the extensive damage to the roof and the ceiling, and of course the spire is completely gone. But the structure seems sound. In addition, last week, 16 statues were removed from the spire as part of the restoration. Other important artifacts and holy relics, such as the crown of thorns, were saved as the fire raged above. Precious works rescued from the cathedral are being transferred to the Louvre for safekeeping and restoration. It's moments like this that truly bring the world together and make us stop and think about what we really have to lose if our cultural heritage isn't cared for. After the fire at the National Museum of Brazil in Rio de Janeiro this past September, we are all too familiar with what can be lost and how quickly it can disappear. Historic buildings like Notre Dame are more than just stone and mortar. Great works of architecture are, as Hugo wrote, less the works of individuals than of society, rather the offspring of a nation's effort than the inspired flash of a man's genius. Given the enthusiasm and determination of the French,
thanks for coming along on that field trip with me, you guys. If you enjoyed that adventure, go ahead and smash that like button down below. And if you want to come on more field trips with me in the future, go ahead and smash that subscribe button down there as well. Stay dirty, my friends.